So, what do you want to talk about?
Support WrestleTalk!
In July of 2014, WWE released CM Punk, firing him on his wedding day. On November 25th, 2023, nearly a decade after being fired on his wedding day, CM Punk returned to WWE. CM Punk, WWE return confirmed. When Punk went to AEW in 2021, it was promoted as the world's worst kept secret, as WWE sold out the United Center in Chicago on the rumor and speculation that Punk was returning to wrestling. But when he returned to WWE last night at Survivor Series 2023, it was the best kept secret in pro wrestling. After Punk was fired by AEW, there was speculation that he could go back to WWE, but this was shot down by various sources, including Fightful, who reported last month that WWE and Punk had not had any talks or conversations. And it should be noted that Survivor Series being in Chicago was booked way before Punk was fired by AEW. But WWE themselves were making references to Punk on their shows, both Corey Graves on commentary and Shinsuke Nakamura using the GTS, Punk's finish, as part of his repertoire. The USA Network Twitter account was also making overt references to Punk. But because high expectations were being set of a Punk return, WWE shut them down. References to Punk were dropped on commentary. Nakamura stopped using the GTS, and WWE planned to announce it was a firm no at the Fastlane post-show press conference if anyone asked about CM Punk coming back. So scared were WWE that Chicago fans would have their expectations raised too high, they announced the return of Randy Orton as the fifth man for Team Cody on the Raw before the pay-per-view, despite Randy not being there to be part of that return. Punk himself teased being at Survivor Series, but to be fair, he also teased that he was the devil in AEW. Living Colour released a new remaster of his theme song Cult of Personality the day before the show, and fans looked for clues and hints that WWE were telling us that Punk was coming back. But none of that really actually added up to his return, because according to Fightful Select, the deal for CM Punk to return to WWE at Survivor Series 2023 was made the morning of WWE Survivor Series 2023. Ibu of WrestlePurist also backed this up on Twitter. Fightful Select reported top talent were outright told CM Punk wasn't coming in for Survivor Series, as were key names in creative. The only indication that Punk could come back was that he himself had told at least one person that he was speaking with WWE higher-ups. There was a report that Punk had met with the WWE board the week before Survivor Series, but this was debunked, not the least of which because there's no such thing as a WWE board anymore. Even just before the show started, the very reliable WrestleVotes tweeted, "Nothing has changed. It was either the greatest kept secret in company history or it just wasn't meant to be yet." But why take Fightful or WrestleVote's word for it when you can take Triple H's? Speaking at the Survivor Series press conference, Triple H essentially confirmed Sean Ross Sapp's reporting of events, saying this came together super quick. There was a lot of speculation. It really didn't come into fruition until everybody stopped thinking it was going to happen. Then, all of a sudden, it was happening. Triple H added that any reports of a deal prior to Survivor Series were based on speculation, again confirming what SRS had been reporting. Corey Brennan of Fightful reported that moments before Punk's return, a section of Backstage was cleared out, and Triple H took over producing the show himself at that point, called for the copyright graphic, and then also personally called for CM Punk's music to hit. I'll be honest, I cannot wrap my head around this image. Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio noted it was a multi-year deal, and it was made about 10 days ago, headed up not by Triple H, but by Nick Khan. Triple H was involved in the decision process though. Vince McMahon was not. Sean Ross Sapp tweeted, WWE staff, reps, creative, had no idea Punk was coming back until it happened. He added on Fightful Select that talent didn't know he was coming back until it happened. Triple H even joked at the press conference that the TKO executives didn't know until it happened. Hilariously, Dave Meltzer initially called BS on that story on Wrestling Observer Radio, but then asked around and was told it's actually a true story. TKO executives did not know CM Punk was coming back. Triple H added in the press conference, love him, hate him, positive, negative, people talk about him all the time. And that is evidence in people on Twitter. Prior to Survivor Series, Ryback tweeted, if CM Punk returns tomorrow, I will officially retire from pro wrestling. This threat of retirement comes shortly after his last professional wrestling match in 2018. Mate, I think you're already retired. He Ryback seized on that one, however, tweeting, I will not be retiring. He had to return to AEW, and that did not happen. That is, of course, Ryback being Ryback. He's just being a feed me moron. Kenta tweeted, I wish he creates another finisher, and I'm going to steal his move as my new finisher. Love Kenta. But it was Matt Riddle who had far harsher words to say, tweeting, hey, WWE, you thought I was hard to deal with? Crying with laughter emoji. Have fun with O and 2. But none of those men are in WWE right now. So, what is the WWE backstage reaction to CM Punk's WWE return confirmed? Oh, it's not great! Within WWE, Sean Ross Sapp reported via Fightful Select there are numerous talent on the roster, in general, upset about Punk's return to WWE. He adds at least one talent claimed legitimately to be upset by the return of Punk. And that would presumably include Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. A video of Seth Rollins freaking out about Punk's return went viral last night as he looked visibly angry and upset, having to be restrained by both Michael Cole and Corey Graves in a video filmed by a fan. And Sean Ross Sapp reported via Fightful Select, Seth Rollins was in gorilla position and had to be ushered away by Triple H and Michael Cole as he was looking for CM Punk. We're told that Punk looked confused and it was an awkward scene. For what it's worth, the feeling from both SRS and Dave Meltzer on this is that Seth is looking to work an angle to build to a match with Punk. The same, however, cannot be said for Drew McIntyre. As well as the video of Seth having to be held back by Cole and Graves, a video was posted online of Drew McIntyre storming to the back as soon as the War Games match was over. Sean Ross Sapp posted to Fightful Select, Drew McIntyre was said to have been visibly upset backstage, leaving the venue, slamming the locker room door, and cursing as he left. Those he did speak to confirmed he was upset and annoyed about Punk's return and that it wasn't part of a work. When asked if this was legit by a fan on Twitter, SRS responded saying he thinks it was. Dave Meltzer agrees on Wrestling Observer Radio. Meltzer also adds that Drew is yet to sign his new deal with WWE, with his current contract expiring around Mania next year. He added that TKO will be throwing very big money at people to get them to re-sign because WWE does not want people leaving for the competition like AEW, New Japan, or even TNA. Names like Drew McIntyre and Becky Lynch, whose contract also comes up next year, will likely be offered a lot more money than they're currently making to stay. Meltzer adds that WWE are basically in the same mode that AEW were earlier this year to keep the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. It's an interesting note then, in Sean Ross Sapp's Fightful Select report, that there was one top talent that told Fightful that they understood the surprise aspect of Punk's return, but felt like Triple H could lose some trust among many people that he worked to build it with. But it's not all doom and gloom. SRS added on Twitter, the reactions weren't all like the negative ones we saw at ringside. Fightful Select is told that Punk was also greeted by a few friends when he returned backstage. While there is upset about his return in the locker room, there is an equal amount of excited, curious, and about every emotion. So, what next for CM Punk in WWE? Sean Ross Sapp believes that he'll be at Raw this week in Nashville, but that doesn't mean he'll be starting a feud with Shinsuke Nakamura because, oh yeah, turns out Nakamura wasn't calling out Punk this whole time, even though Punk's come back now. Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful Select reported that Nakamura did not know Punk was coming back, and his vignettes where he's calling out his next opponent are not about CM Punk. He added on Twitter that when Punk and Triple H spoke on the phone last week, they did not talk about Nakamura's promos. Hilariously, he later added, I mean, they could make it Punk, but Nakamura certainly didn't know. I keep re-watching the clip from our watch party last night of CM Punk's return, looking at everyone's faces and everyone's different reactions to Punk coming back and reflecting on my own. I still don't know if it's real. It felt like a collective fever dream, but it is real. CM Punk, WWE return confirmed. Business is about to pick up. But for now, go and watch Ollie Davis's reactions to his return by taking a look at his review of WWE Survivor Series 2023.